All right, good morning, everybody. Welcome to Wells Darby Webinar Wednesdays. My name is Jim DePalma. Thank you for joining us today, because today we're talking about how to sell home comfort systems. So we're not really going to be talking about product per se. We're not going to be doing any technical formulas, but really we're going to talk about how to talk and how to learn what our customers want, and they'll help you formulate your presentation on how to sell. With me today, running in the hot seat, is Christiane Levine. My director of marketing is Eric Hayes. He's with us today. Also running questions on the side is Mr. Rick Coster, part of our contractor services group. My boss is in the room today, so guys, I need you to really be involved and make me look good. Mr. Jim Fry's in the room. And yeah, so we're looking forward to this class today. A couple of housekeeping things. First off, if you wouldn't mind giving us a response if you can hear our audio. All right, we had a little bit of an audio glitch yesterday, so we want to make sure everybody can hear our audio. And you could do that by going on your screen where you see the arrow, open up your panel, and that's where you'll see questions, and that's where you can type in that you can hear our audio. We want to make sure that everybody can. Also, at the top of your screen, you will see webcam, and if you click on the down arrow there, it'll give you the opportunity to set up your screen the way you want to see it. So if you click on it and click left, I will be in the left-hand side of your screen, and then you'll see our PowerPoint in the middle. And then if you go to your screen, there we go, and right in this area here, you'll see three little hash marks. If you click on that, you can expand the pane. You can expand either the PowerPoint or you can expand me, and you can change to your viewing as you want. All right, so with that in mind, let's get going on today's topic. All right, so today is really how to sell home comfort systems. It's very important that we all are on the same page in what we do. We're a manufacturer's rep, so we don't produce a product, we produce service. So if you're a service-oriented contractor, that's your product, and you have to be able to present that and sell it to people. If you're a contractor that is an installing contractor, your new installs, you have to be able to present what you do to your contacts, your customers, the best way you can so you can get your jobs. We're all connected to this, guys. So my goal today is to make you more profitable. All right, my goal today is not to give you tips and tricks on how to convince people to do what you're going to present to them. My goal today is to really help you understand human nature. All right, we all have an advantage today. We all are salespeople. So if you're running your own company, all right, and you have to do this every day, you have to, sell the job, install the job, pick up the check, clean up, and do it again the next day. Right? You're your own company. You are a salesman. You are a technician. But we're also consumers. We get sold to ourselves. So I need you to keep an open mind today. I need you to keep an open mind and understand how you like to be sold, right? When you're doing a major purchase, think about the people you want to deal with, the people who get you involved in that process, educate you in that process, so you're going to make a good decision. All right, that's my goal today, understanding human nature so you can do a better job in presenting your services, your products, and your pricing to your customers. Okay, all right. After we're done with today's presentation, if you want to watch it again, this is recorded and presented on HVACinsiders.com. All right. You can also follow us on Instagram, I believe Twitter, Facebook, all that kind of happy jazz. My marketing people take care of that. All right. All right. So here's our topics of discussion today. All right. We want to make sure that we're going to do these things every time we're out there talking to our customers. Okay. So we want to make sure that we're going to be asking questions, listening, and getting the most information we can. Because once we do, and then we can present, checking off all those boxes to what that customer wants, there's our opportunity to offer more value, make more profit. So we're going to go over what the three most important questions to ask at every job. All right, these are questions that I use every single day. whether I'm in front of somebody or whether I'm on the phone. I'm going to ask these questions in some way, shape, or form so I can qualify what that customer is looking for, that customer being either you guys, or if I'm with you, with your homeowner, I want to understand what they're looking for. So we're going to give them the proper quote and make sure we can get as much on the job as possible. I want to make sure everybody really understands what we're selling, what we actually do. Some of you guys, go out there every day and you're techs, you're great techs. You know how to put this equipment in. You're incredible craftsmen. I'm amazed at what you guys can accomplish, but we're all salespeople. So we're going to discuss on really what we sell. We're going to talk about educating the customer. We're going to talk about getting the customer involved in making these decisions. All right. We're going to talk about making sure we're giving them multiple options so they can have the option to make their own decision. Okay. If you get them involved, there's a good chance you're going to do much better on that project. We're going to talk about what the best sales tool is that you have available to you. So we're going to talk about home comfort systems. I will go toward maybe hydronics because I'm more comfortable there myself, but we will talk these same topics apply or concepts apply to even if it's an airside system, doesn't matter. Our systems today are much more sophisticated than they've ever been. I think on our flyer for this class, we showed a picture of a house that showed a chiller on the outside, feeding hydronics in the house, feeding airside, feeding radiant. We have the ability to do all of that today, and we have to educate our customers so they know what's available so they can make the best decision. So we're going to talk about that based on what is our best sales tool. I love this next topic that we'll talk about. It's all about the price. All right. When I do this live, I will ask that question, and about 95% of the room will put up their hand and say, yes, it's always about the price. Well, we're going to talk about that. I'm going to need your input on that when we start talking about it so we know, where this is going to go. Whose money is it? It's very interesting when I'm with contractors and they try to talk a customer out of spending their money. Why? If they really want something and you can put it in properly, let them spend their money, okay? Selling is a skill, it's an art, it has to be practiced. So in order to get better at it, we want everybody to review what they discussed and how it went after the sales call. That's the only way to get better at this. You're going to practice first off, but after you make your sales call, you're driving away or you're sitting home in your office, write down some notes, think about what you said and how it went and what you can do better. We review our webinars when we're done, what we can do better. I want to make sure I'm not stuttering and, tripping over myself and making good points. So we're going to review after our sales calls. So we want to figure out what worked and what didn't work and how well we handled any objections. Okay. So let's start off with this first question. I'm going to need you to type in what you think your answer is. So guys and gals, if anybody's here, any ladies here, what business are you in? So go to your questions, type in the business that you're in. All right, I'll give you a couple of seconds here. It's a very interesting question. And generally, I get very interesting answers. So what business are you in?
First answer.
What do you got?
Comfort.
Excellent. That's what I was looking for. All right, that voice you heard on the outside, that was Ricky K, Rick Coster. We are in the comfort business. Absolutely. And especially now, we have huge opportunities. Right now in our market, I'm talking to you from Warren, New Jersey. So I'm in northern New Jersey, New York metro market. Right now in the housing market here, people are buying houses sight unseen, and they're buying them under contracts that say as is. So they're buying a house, they have no idea what conditions it is because they want to get out of the cities, they want to get out of the inner cities because of the pandemic. They're working home. They need more space. They need to be able just to get out in their backyard, just to decompress. So we have major opportunities coming up, guys, because they're going to walk into these homes, and these are people that have never had a home before, and they're going to need to have their systems reevaluated and changed. So yes, we are in the comfort business. Everybody on this webinar today has to believe that. If you don't believe that, your selling is going to be is going to be awkward. We are in the comfort business. What we do, our HVAC systems, is the heartbeat of the house. Nobody's Kohler faucet, Corian countertop, Carrera tile is going to keep them comfortable. It'll look nice, but what we do is going to keep them comfortable. And you have to believe that. All right. So what do your customers want from you? They want to be educated. They want to know what is available. All right. My youngest is getting married, so she's out there looking for a house, and it's incredible what's happening. The moment a house goes on the market, people are outbidding each other the moment it hits the market. And she'll, take me to a house and she'll look at it and she'll say, well, can I do this? What about the system? All this type of stuff. They need to be educated. And my generation, I'm the last of the baby boomers. So we're not the guys that are going to be driving the market anymore. It's the millennials. All right. And they're the ones that are on the internet gathering information. Google is their best tool. They use it every day. Okay. They can grab information about anything. So when you show up to talk to them, we need to be prepared to know what we're talking about because they've already researched it. And if you don't think so, go out there and start talking to them because you're going to be surprised. All right. So we do sell comfort. And now our customers want to know about energy savings. All right. That generation wants to be green and they're aware of rebates. All right. Because a lot of our manufacturers, we represent Fujitsu, we represent A.O. Smith. On their websites, there's a tab to go find rebates for the products in that local zip code where they live. So we need to be up on this. We need to understand it and be prepared. So not only do we sell comfort, we're energy efficiency experts. Okay. Hope you all agree with me here. If not, type in, let Ricky know. He'll interrupt me and let me know. If you think what I'm saying is a bunch of garbage, that's fine. I want discussion. I want you to push back. All right. All right. So here's where it's difficult. And I see guys struggle with this every day. If you want to grow your business, getting yourself out of the truck, are you a craftsman or a businessman? We all have to be great craftsmen because you got to do a great job. You got to get that word of mouth advertising going, and you want to make, good profit. But getting out of the truck is the big deal. So my real goal today is to make sure we're going to get as much out of each job. So the more profit you make, then you can look into getting that next truck, that next guy, and start to build your business. All right. Once you can do that, now you focus on building the business. Now you focus on sales, okay? How you're going to market yourself, how you're going to get out there and talk to customers and follow up, all right? This is the hardest part. I grabbed this right out of one of our local, one of the most common trade magazines, and this has to do with business and selling, and this is an outfit right out of, I believe, Montana. And the hardest part is getting out of the truck, and I have a lot of contractors that I know here that are the smaller guys. These are the guys I really cut my teeth on. And this is the issue for them. Some of them grew their business and then brought it back down. Some of them want to grow their business and they struggle to do it. And basically their sales technique is what's holding them back. They're leaving money on the table. So this is what we want to do, get you out of the truck so you can grow your business. So rule number one, this is the first thing you all have to do. We all have to do this. You're talking to a sales guy. Everybody in a room in our company here is sales oriented. Rule number one, here it comes, call them back. Hey, I expect pushback here. All right, you need to call your customers or any of these leads that get generated toward you. You need to call back that day. All right, the speed of business has picked up tremendously. All right, people expect answers immediately. All right, we get sent an email, a text, and our customers expect an answer right away. Well, I emailed you, I texted you. What do you mean you didn't get back to me yet? It's been 5 minutes. It's insane. And you guys have to respond the same way. Now I'm going to give you a pet peeve of mine. Like I said, A.O. Smith, Fujitsu, they're a couple of companies that we represent that generate leads. You guys can sign up on their programs to get leads. So now if that lead is sent to you, you're expected to contact that customer in a timely fashion. What do you guys think a timely fashion is? Do you think it's the same day? Do you think it's within a couple of days? Type in your answer. Let me see what you're thinking. The music's back. All right. All right. We're good. So we're getting answers of 1 to 2 hours, ASAP, same day. And for the guys who said that, thank you. That's what we have to do today. We do have to get back to them right away. So I'll give you some examples of contractors that I know who are single man shops. They're doing what they're doing, but they're doing quite well. They'll always make a point during the day. One gentleman I know, every day, 12 noon, no matter what he's doing, he's going to stop. He's going to check his messages. He's going to find out who called him. And if it's somebody who's looking for him to, bid on a project, come to my house, can you do plumbing for me? I have a heating job I want you to do. He will then call them right at that point and say to them, if he gets them on the phone, I'm working right now. I will get back to you later today. Is 6 o'clock good for you? He makes that appointment for the follow-up call. Okay. Personal experience. One of my daughters is working with contractors to rehab her house. I recommend these contractors to her. All right. And I'll call up this contractor and say, hey, you're going to hear from my daughter. She wants to do this project. Just want to let you know this is coming. She'll make the phone call. No response. No response for days. I'll call the gentleman up. Like, I gave you a solid lead. They trust who I'm sending to them. Gave you a solid lead, no response. And the response I get back is, I'm too busy. Well, I'm sorry, guys. That doesn't fly today. Somebody's going to call them back. They're going to call back first, and probably they'll be the only one. And they got the leg up on you. They're going to be the guys that'll probably get the job. When you do make an appointment, be on time. If you can't be on time, give them a call and let them know when you can be there, because we all get delayed. Things happen. I understand that. Happens to us too. We make appointments to meet with contractors or companies. And if we're going to be late, number one rule for us is to call them and let them know. Because if we're going to be 10, 15 minutes, maybe 30 minutes late, that might not work for them, or we'll have to reschedule. Right? Call, be on time, set a new time. Okay. And then when you do get there, be honest about the project. Think about this. If you're the consumer, you work with somebody, maybe it's a roofing company or what have you, something that you can't do on your own home, and you book them and they're going to start the project on such and such date. Date comes, you take time off to make sure you're there, let them into the house or what have you, and they don't come on time, or they don't come at all, or they do come, start it, and then they don't come back the next day. All right. You don't want to operate like that. Not with the systems that we're going to be proposing to them. All right. So if you're going to show up, sell the job, get the job, be honest with them and let them know that I can't start this for another week or two. All right. If you got a good lead, if you got a lead generated from Wales Darby, from myself or from Rick or any other guys in our group, and that customer is very confident about, the guys that we sent them, because we trust, we know that these guys are going to do a great job. We would use them in our home, but you're too busy. Tell them, hey, I can't do this for another 2 weeks. That might be enough for them to say, not a problem, not a problem. We want you. You were recommended to us. Just call them back. I can't hammer that home enough. And then when we do get to the job, be prepared to offer options, okay? It is all about options. My goal today is to have you now look at every single job and not walk in there with one scenario that you can do the job. You got to have at least 3. If you take me to a job, we need to condition this room, this building. I've got at least 3 or 4 in my mind once I start looking around, seeing what's going on, and we start interviewing that customer, okay? We can combine systems today. It's not a one and done. It's not just air. It's not just hydronics, air and hydronics together. Absolutely. All right. We want to have options. Okay. Now, human nature. We're all humans and we're all consumers. So you guys can answer this question. When do people buy? Right? When do they buy? When they have a want or when they have a need. All right. She's got a want and a need. All right. Maybe she's got a a big party coming up and she needs a new outfit. Maybe she's going to be interviewing for a job or something. She needs a new outfit or whatever. So she wants something, she needs something, she's going to go out and do it. All right. Other times people buys when the status quo is too much to bear anymore. Okay. That guy down there, he can't fix that car anymore. There's no tape and tissue and bubble gum that can make that car run anymore. He's got to get a new car. All right. So when you're there, we need to find out from our customers what their wants and needs are. Now, just remember what I told you earlier. There are people buying houses sight unseen, above asking price, as is. And some of these houses that I've gone out to see have not been kept up at all. They're walking into jobs where the home heating system, cooling system is 20, 25 years old. Right? You know that's going to have to be replaced, upgraded at some point. These people are going to need direction. They're going to have their wants and needs. We need to find out what they are. So how do we do that? Well, we have to know the customer. How are we going to know the customer? We're going to start asking them questions, right? We are in the people business. And if you're asking the customer the 3 most important questions that we'll discuss, they will tell you everything. Think about it when you guys go and buy a car, buy a truck. All right, that salesperson starts asking you a lot of questions. All right, he wants to know the package you want, colors, things of that nature. All right, he's got a routine, but he's trying to get information out of you so he can set up his package of, how he's going to sell that vehicle to you. Okay, so we need to find out what they want. All right, so even if you're dealing with a type A person, that person who's going to give you 30 seconds time, the guy that when you show up says, yeah, I need a new boiler, how much? None of us can give a price right then and there. I need a new cooling system, how much? Don't be that guy that says, I've been doing this for 30 years. Yeah, this house looks like it needs 4 tons. That doesn't fly today. And how are we going to handle these people? We're going to ask these questions, okay? All right, so we need to understand human nature, because the guy who does understand human nature is going to have the best opportunity to win that job. So here are your 3 questions that you always have to ask on the job. All right. What are you looking for in a heating system? So I'm picking heating system. It could be heating, it could be cooling, or a combination of. What are you looking for in that system? How has your current system been operating? And what are your expectations? You can frame that one any way, shape, or form you want to. So when I've done this class live, guys will look at me and say, well, they don't know. And that's actually a good thing, because if the customer says to you, well, geez, I'm not sure, what is that doing? That's opening the door for you to educate them. Let them know what's available. Okay? So if they need a new boiler, okay, fine, but what's available out there? We're just going to replace it with what's there? All right? No. We want to let them know what is available, because there's more opportunities there for us if we do that. If you're just going to replace what's there and they call 4 other people and they show up and they're all going to do the same thing, then it becomes a price war, and it becomes a race to the bottom. I need you guys profitable. I need you guys healthy. I need your companies to grow in order for my business to grow. So we can't do that. So we need to practice asking these questions. And we do it every day. I do it every day here, whether I'm on the phone or face to face. What are you looking for in a system? I don't know. Great. Let me show you what's available. How's your system been operating? Has it been operating well? Especially when you're there to troubleshoot issues, right? Hey, they'll tell you, oh, it's been working great. And all of a sudden now this happened. All right, it's been working great. But when I ask that question, how the system's been operating, what I really want to know is, are you comfortable in your house? Do you have rooms that aren't comfortable? Ask that question. How's it been operating? Have you been comfortable in every room? No, I got a couple of rooms here that aren't comfortable. All right, let's address that. Get them involved. Let them know what's available. What are your expectations? That's kind of important, because think about what's happening now. It's a seller's market. I could sell my house today. I could turn it over in a day or an hour, and I can put it out there in my contract as is. I don't have to fix or change anything, as is, and I'll sell it. So if I did have a problem and I needed you to come to get it to operate and you want to sell me, or give me opportunities for a higher system, you need to know, look, I just need to make it sellable because I'm leaving. All right, so there's really no need to put in anything more high efficient. But if somebody just moved in and like, yeah, no, we just moved in, we're going to be here for a while, there's an opportunity to educate them about what we can do to make that system more efficient for them so their operating costs go down. But if we don't ask these questions, we'll never know. All right, so this is something you need to practice. You really do need to practice. So how does this affect your sales process? Well, if you show up on the job and you're asking these questions, you can either fix what they currently have, you can fix it and probably make it better, or you may have to replace it. Right? So you've now asked those questions to the customer. You're going to go down and look at the equipment. I'd bring them along and educate them as to what they currently have and what you have the ability to do. Okay. If we're talking about fixing something, okay, it could be an obvious fix, fine. But if let's say it's a 10 or 15-year-old cast iron boiler, in our world, that's a teenager. That has another 10, maybe 15 years worth of work life available to it, and we can make the better. You can add outdoor reset to that. But if it's a really old system that needs to be replaced, you need to explain why and do the replacement. Ricky's got a question?
Yeah, Ron threw another good question in there for you. Why are you thinking about doing this? So that's another good one.
Yeah, why are you thinking about doing this? Engage the customer, they'll tell you everything, all right? There is no need to have to give somebody a price the moment you walk through that threshold, the moment you walk into their basement. There's no need. If they pressure you to do that, just keep asking them questions. And as you ask those questions and get information and start explaining about options to them, all right, you start to control this conversation, okay? It takes practice, guys. You have to practice this, but, I want you to have an open mind about what I'm talking about. If what you're currently doing is working for you, great. Give this a try. You got nothing to lose. If it doesn't work well for you, just go back to what you're normally doing. But if you're struggling to make profit, if you got guys that are cutting pricing around you and it's making it harder for you, you've got nothing to lose by trying this. It's only going to help. Okay? All right. So it's all about price. How many of you guys think that it's all about price? Please type in what you think. Yes, it's always about price. Guy with the lowest price wins. Guy with the first price in wins. Price, 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 price. It's always about price.
Got some no's, some yeses.
So it looks like we're 50-50 across the board. Some people say it's all about price. Some people say, no, it's not about price. Well, something to think about. Something to think about. Now you got to put your consumer hat on and think about how you buy, okay? Think about how you buy. If everybody bought their products based on price, then everybody would wear the least expensive clothes, drive the least expensive vehicles. That includes you guys. You wouldn't show up at a $50,000 or $60,000 truck all decked out to make your sales call. You don't need it, right? And we live in the least expensive homes, but that's not the way we all operate. Think about it. If you really want something, you're going to go out of your way to figure out how to get it. So, you show up at a house, could be just a regular plain Jane type of home. But if I see a Tesla in the driveway, hey, these people have some high-end tastes here. Let's figure out what we can do for them. It's not always based on the lowest price. Okay. All right, on-time delivery. When can you start the job? I need to get this done. When can you start the job? I'm working from home now. I've got kids bouncing all over the place. I need to have an office space. I need to get this done. When can you start this job? And if you tell them, hey, I could start tomorrow, and you're the first guy and the only guy who called them back, there's a good chance you're going to get that job. You're going to get the pricing that you want and that you need, okay? And it's all about the options. I'm an options guy. If you're going to sell me, if you come to my house and you're going to sell me because I need roofing done, siding done, I need you to come in with some heavy machinery to do some landscaping that I physically can't do. I want options. I want options. When it came time to change my boiler in my home, because I'm in the business and I could figure out exactly what I needed, I then sat down with my customer, which was my wife. and presented her with 3 different options about what we could do in order to upgrade our system and save money. Okay, if I just told her we're going to do this, I was going to have to answer a lot of whys. I gave her the options. She made her decision. Then she wanted to know where I was going to go. And then we made a decision we were both happy with, and we got what we wanted, right? So you want to be able to give your customers options. I want to make sure I'm giving them a good, better, best option. And I'm not starting from the ground up. I'm going to start from the top down. It's always easier to work our way down than it is to work our way up. Okay, it's all about the options. Okay, and by giving them options, it makes people feel like they have choices and they can get a deal. It wasn't too long ago in my local paper, I read an article in business or lifestyle section, and the article was to consumers about negotiate every purchase. You're going to go to a store and buy a laptop, negotiate the price. You're going to go to the store and buy some furniture, negotiate the price. I mean, that is fatiguing as the salesperson, that every time you're going to sell what you offer, you got to negotiate the pricing, all right? Because they were told, hey, this is the time that you should be doing this, negotiate everything. No. We're not going to negotiate everything. We're going to establish good, better, best pricing, and then we're going to educate them and let them make a decision. And here's something that I'm going to need to know if you agree with me or not. You have to be willing to walk away from a job. If it's not going to fit within the profit margins you need to maintain, don't take that job. Don't take it if it's just going to be moving money back and forth, or I need to keep my guys busy. I'm sorry, don't do that. That's a waste of time. It's a waste of effort. Generally, it ends up costing you money, and that's not what we're in the business to do. We're in the business to make a profit. You're taking care of your family. You got to come home with a bag of groceries. I got to make sure you're profitable, all right? So don't be afraid to walk away from the job. Remember, you were probably the only guy who called. You're probably the only guy who showed up. They're not going to let you walk away because you're there and they need this done. Don't be afraid to walk away from the job. You'll see what I mean in a minute. So here, it's all about the price. And if you look on your screen, the 7 stages of the sales cycle. Whoop, let me get over here. And first up, it shows prospecting. Well, that's lead generation. If you're working with us and you're selling our Fujitsu equipment, our A.O. Smith equipment, if you're going to be an NTI contractor, we have the ability to generate leads towards you, okay? And we want you to take advantage of your leads. So whether you're getting word of mouth advertising, lead generation from the companies that we represent, there's your prospecting. So then what's next? Make contact. Well, what does make contact mean? Call. Make that call. Call them right away. And if you even can't meet with them at that moment, tell them when you can. Ask them if it's a good time to call back. Make that appointment. A lot of our lead generation software that these companies are using, customers just go online. They put down what they're looking for. They put down their zip code. It shows the different contractors in the area, or it'll give at least the top guy in that area, and they click OK. And that generates a lead to him, and now he's got all day to respond. I shouldn't say all day. I think he gets a couple of hours or so. Is that right, Rick, on the one? He gets a couple of hours to respond whether he can do the job or not. And even if he doesn't, then it's automatically going to go to the next guy. So now you don't even have to talk to people. You can at least, click on there and say, yeah, I'm available. And then the process starts. All right. So make sure nobody's using flip phones anymore, right? If you haven't graduated from a flip phone, you need to have a smartphone so you can do this type of stuff. That's the way the business is going. What's next here? Chris, can you make the screen bigger? I'm having a little hard time reading that. Then we're going to, I think it's qualify the prospect, qualify the customer. Is that what that says? We're going to ask them those questions, those 3 important questions. Find out what their wants and needs are. We do a lot of radiant heat business out of our company. I'm one of the guys that do a lot of those designs. I got bombed yesterday at 5 o'clock with requests for quotes for radiant heat jobs. 3 big homes, right? But they're requests for a quote. So the bidding process, we can put together a quick number so you can bid the job. And then if the customer says, yes, okay, I'm willing to go forward, then we do the design so we get the exact material list you need and we'll know how the system's going to operate. We will always be within 10% of that bid price, but none of us need practice knocking ourselves out to figure out what the job is, give them the price, and then, oh, it's too much, and then they walk away. So we need to qualify the customer. What's next? Nurture your prospect. Educate them. Educate them. We're not selling people, we're educating people. I've been in this sales game in the HVAC industry for 32 years. I did 2 years with a company before I came here at Wales Darby. I'm in my 30th year. I've never been the slick, fast-talking sales guy. I probably stumbled more than ever, but I always educated people as to why my widget, my product was better, and always what it was going to do for them, how it was going to impact their business and make them more profitable, right? And once I really understood that and understood systems and could talk more intelligently about it, my sales went up, all right? Educate, educate. We're not selling, we're educating. What's next? All right, present your offer. You're going to have 3 options: a good, better, best. I start off always at the best. If I'm with you on the job and we're talking to Mr. and Mrs. Smith, after we've understood what they wanted, right, and we've done our due diligence to now present a product or a system based on price, I'm going to give them 3 options: a good, better, best. Okay, and then we're going to help them make their decision. What's next in the process? Gosh, I can't see that, guys. Overcome objections. So if I offer them 3 options, there's a good chance they're going to say, well, give me the best for the lowest price. Guys, we can't do that. You're not going to cut your price. You're going to change material. That's why we're giving them different options. Okay. We establish price. Once we've established the price, here's the hard part. Once you've given that to them, you're going to be quiet. You're going to be quiet. They're going to hammer you. They want this, they want that. My response is, well, what do you want us to take out? I don't want you to take out anything. Okay, well, that's the price for that particular job. Okay, that is very powerful. If you start to cut your price, you are on a race to the bottom. Okay, and then nobody makes any money. Right? I'm sincere when I need you to be profitable. I really am sincere about that. If you guys don't make money, we don't make money. What's next here? Overcome objections.
Close the sale.
Oh, close the sale. So now that we've gotten to the point of here's the 3 options, you know, you've established your pricing. This is where we're quiet. This is where we're going to answer questions as to, like, when can you start the job, or if they're still hangering about, you know, what's going on. I want this price instead. I'm sorry, I can't. This is what it costs. You know, just don't forget, you know, I can start this job next week. You know, if you need more time to think about it, let me know. And don't be afraid to walk away. They're not going to let you walk away. They're going to want to close that job right then and there. But be confident in your pricing and what you're proposing to them. And then the whole sales process starts again. Okay? I've been on jobs with guys that they can't stop talking. So yeah, this is a long-winded presentation today, all right? But you got to present, educate, and then be quiet. Answer questions, but don't keep talking, all right? You can talk yourself out of the job, all right? Just listen, answer, present what you have, give them the options, and then zip.
Ron had a good
All right.
idea.
What do we got?
Answer that question with a question.
That's right. That's right. Hey, look, my wife and I are shopping for a new flat screen. All right. Prices have come down and we're going to get a new flat screen. All right. Here, 2 old boomers are going to go out and get a new flat screen. God, we're getting an education as to what pixels and all that kind of stuff is about. And we zeroed in on a guy we're going to buy from because he educated us. Right. He educated us, and his pricing is not the best. It's not the worst. It's kind of in the middle, but we're very confident with what he taught us. And we did our research too, but he taught us a lot, delivery and everything. Everything is all in place. We're ready to go. Why haven't we pulled the trigger? Because the piece of furniture that we need to put it on hasn't showed up yet. All right. But we've even got back just to tell him, hey, we're buying from you, pal. You know, so this, the amount of time you spent with us is worth it. And he really appreciated that. Okay. Anybody disagree with what I'm saying? If you are, and I encourage you to, please type it in. Let us know. Okay? This is not the be all end all when it comes to selling. These are things that I have observed, the people I'm with have observed, you know. So no disagreement, no pushbacks. All right. So going forward. All right, so again, it's all about the price. So let's talk about this. They don't always choose the most expensive. They don't always choose the least expensive. Most of the time, they're buying in the middle. And guess what? That's a good thing. We just upsell. And they feel good about it. Nothing wrong with that, all right? Nothing wrong with that. I was just talking to Christiana yesterday about tires. And I said to her, she needs a new tire for her car. And she's asking me questions like, Chris, I never skimp on tires because it's a safety factor. She kind of looked at me and said, yeah, that makes a lot of sense, right? Does she have to buy the best tires that you put on a Ferrari? No, but she's probably going to buy something in the middle because it's a good tire. It's going to get great warranty, all right? And she feels comfortable because of the safety factor. People buy in the middle 90% of the time, okay? All right, so what else about, all right? Some of them have lived in their homes for 20, 30 years and have never been comfortable. I want you to think about this, especially the guys who focus on air systems. We always kid about this when we do our Fujitsu trainings, because when you do a Fujitsu multi-headed system, every head is a zone. And that's a great selling feature. So we always ask them to ask Mr. and Mrs. Smith, especially Mrs. Smith. And Mrs. Smith, what kind of a house did you grow up in, you know, the system? Was it forced air? And she says, yes. Ask them, how many thermostats were in the house? Do you recall? And what's the answer you usually get, guys? 1 or 2. So they were living large if they had 2. That means they had 1 on the first floor, 1 on the second floor. So now you know what the next question should be. And Ron, if you're out there, since you're interacting with us, give me your thoughts. But my next question would be is, were you comfortable? And the answer is probably going to be no. And if they bought a house sight unseen as is, and that's what they're walking in on, right? They're probably going to tell you that, yeah, I'm not comfortable. Hey, I can make you comfortable and I can give you your own zone. Mrs. Smith, you can have your own temperature control in your master bedroom. Is that something you would be interested in? Be prepared. She's probably going to want to hug you, right? Just ask these questions. Yes, sir.
Got a good question from Peter here. What do you think is a fair profit percentage or margin?
Oh, I was hoping somebody would ask me that question. Gentlemen, I can't answer that question because I don't know what it costs you to turn on your truck. You have a break-even point every day. If I'm going to get in my truck, start it up, and pull out of my driveway or out of my shop's yard and go to work, there's a break-even point where I covered my expenses for that day. You guys have to know what that is. All right, maybe you have to check with your accountant. Every company will be different. The bigger the company is, you know, they got more, you know, responsibility, so their profit margin is going to have to be a certain level at all times. As you're building your business, maybe you're going to start to grow that as you continue, but it's really important that you know your cost of operation before you leave your driveway or the shop. All right, you need to know. That's why I say don't be afraid to walk away from a job, because if you know, if I go below this price, I'm losing money. We all don't need to be busy. We're busy enough. You guys don't need practice when it comes to putting this equipment in. You know how to do that. You need to make money.
Start off the hornet's nest with that
Oh, I bet I did. I bet I did. I can't help you with that. It's up to you guys to know your margins.
one.
Okay.
He was asking if you have like a range.
I don't.
Where he's open.
It's different with everybody. Everybody in this room's a salesperson. I'm getting kind of, it's different with everybody. Yeah, we really don't know. Well, you know, is 20, 30% good? To me, it is. You know, understand something. Your customers can't do what you do. It's not like they can go to Home Depot, buy a home heating system and put it in themselves. I mean, some people will try, you know, but they're only going to end up with a disaster. So, you know, people have to pay for what they can't do. You know, I've had friends of mine say, you know, I had a plumber come in, he worked on my sink, he was only there for 40 minutes, and, you know, and he charged me X. Geez, he was only there for 40 minutes. And I say to them, well, could you have done it? And they're like, well, no. I'm like, well, then what do you expect? He's got to go get what you need, the parts or materials. He's got to have insurance. God forbid he floods out your house, right? He's got continuing education. He spent a lot of years getting his license. He's got to outfit his truck. There's costs involved. So of course it's going to cost in that price range, even though he was there 40 minutes. If your husband tried to do it, he could have been there all day, not done it, and flooded out the house. What do you want? And they kind of look at me and like, you know, they're not happy, but hey, they couldn't do it. If I'm hiring somebody in my house to do something, that means I can't do it. And I'm, you know, as long as they can hit my criteria of giving what I want and getting it done what I want, pricing is the pricing. I can't dictate his pricing. I can ask, but it's up to you to tell me, no, this is the price. I hope that answered that question. All right. If we were in a room together, it's even better because you got different factions in the room, you know, giving their thoughts on it, and it leads to great discussion. This is virtual. We're doing the best we can about this. Okay. All right. So here's very important, and I love doing this when we have people in front of us. All right. We need to be able to explain our systems to our customers. And here's your goal. You can't use industry terms. You know, when we get together as an industry, we talk and, you know, we're splitting atoms, you know, especially when I talk to guys about radiant heat, and, you know, they want to talk about delta T and surface temp and all this type of stuff and microclimates. Okay, I could sit there and have those conversations with you, but you can't do that with your customer. Right? If you do that with Mr. and Mrs. Smith, their eyes are going to roll back in their head. They're going to get confused, and they're going to want something simple. You just talked your way out of selling a higher end job. So guys, here's the goal for you today. Explain this to me. What's the difference? And I'm picking radiant heat because it's the most expensive home comfort system you could put in. What's the difference between radiant heat and forced hot air? Type in your answer. Let Ricky know, and we'll discuss it as a group. What's the difference between them? Homeowner wants it. We don't have to work hard to sell radiant anymore. People know what it is, and that might be the best solution to some projects you're walking in on. But what's the difference?
That's what it is, yeah. So we gotta go with it. Right.
Give me some answers,
Yeah,
right?
radiant will heat you directly, not the air.
Right?
Heat is up there, first down here.
Okay.
Interesting. Comfort, I like that.
Okay. So actually the three answers that Ricky just gave us, radiant will heat you where you are. The heat is where you are, not up there. I know what that person's referring to. And the comfort factor. Those are all excellent answers. So let's discuss that. How does a radiant heat system work? It's going to heat you up to mid-chest level, Mr. and Mrs. Smith. I'm putting the heat energy where you are, where you sit, where you stand, where you lay down. The ceiling in your room is going to be the coolest spot in your room versus forced air, where we heat the air. It's going to rise, and that's going to be the hottest spot of your room. So if you came to my house and I'm telling you, here's my problem. My master bedroom is over a crawl space, has 2 exposed walls, and has no heat or conditioned space above it. All right, so that's what? 1, 2, 3, 4 exposures. And I tell you, the room's not comfortable. The floor actually is cold to the touch with bare feet when it's like 20 degrees outside. What can I do? Okay. If radiant heat was something you can offer them, you'd offer radiant heat. Maybe it's not even primary heat. Maybe it's going to be just a floor warming. I'm going to make that floor comfortable for you. Maybe the current system there would be enough to carry the load, but I can just take the chill off the floor. But I need to be able to explain that to them. Because remember, a forced air system is going to give them two in one, heat and cool, and should be less money. So we need to explain that to them in simple terms. What's the difference here between radiant heat and baseboard? They're both hydronic. They're both going to use a boiler, and I can put in a condensing boiler and make it efficient by making it run in the condensing mode. What's the difference between the two? Give me your responses. Oh, the other thing I didn't give you, part of your challenge is you're talking to my mom. She's 95. Okay? She's 95. You can't use industry terms. You have to make her understand. We have to educate her. What's the difference?
That's a good one. Put your furniture wherever you like.
Excellent. Excellent. That's correct. Actually, I was on a job yesterday where the system wasn't heating well, and just taking a quick peek in a couple of rooms near the mechanical room, I said to the homeowner, I said, you know, you have your furniture right on top of your baseboard. You're stopping how it operates. Well, what do you mean? And I explained to her how it operates. So really, what's the difference? Well, baseboard heats by convection. We put it on the outside walls because those are the cold spots of the room, and we want to blanket those walls with warm air. But when we heat air, what's it going to do? It's going to rise, and the warmest spot in that room is the ceiling, right? Again, radiant heat's going to put the heat energy where we live. And as that person said, I have no obstacles now with my furniture. In fact, it'll warm my furniture and it'll make me even more comfortable. All right, what's the difference here? Forced air gives me heating and cooling. Why is a radiant heat system even better? Because no matter where you are in this territory, this is a forced air market. Hydronics is not number one. I've been battling that for 30 years, right? I get 2 for 1. It's going to be less install cost, the whole 9. Every new development goes in, gets forced air. Why is radiant better?
Like Ron said, it's comfort, comfortable heat in the room.
Radiant is more comfortable.
No draft.
No draft, absolutely right. Actually,
Really good.
the amount of dust that gets generated changes dramatically. That's a big deal. And with people being very conscious, health conscious now, that could be a big deal for people if they're allergic to dust and things of that nature. But I'm looking for a specific answer. What else you got coming in?
So far.
That's a bit about it so far.
No draft.
All right, well, think about this. If you do a forced air system that's going to give heat and cool, if the installing contractor and or builder don't put in 2 outlets on the wall, one for heating and then one for cooling, there's only 1 outlet on the wall. One side of the system is going to suffer. I don't want to blow heat out from the top because hot air is just going to, it's going to stratify at the ceiling anyway, and it's not going to fall. I want to blow cold air from the top because that's going to fall and make them more comfortable. If I'm blowing cold air out at their ankles, that's not going to make them more comfortable up on the 2nd floor. I can take you to where I live. I can show you homes on my street that all have forced air systems, heat and cool, and on their 2nd floor, they all got window units in. Why do you think that is? It's not cooling well. So one side of the system is not going to be right. So, why is radiant heat better? If I'm going to heat them, I'll make them more comfortable, no draft, furniture placement, heat energy where they are. We understand that cooling really should be a separate system, right? But you have other options out there. You can combine the two. I brought up the world of Fujitsu to you a couple of times here today. Hey, that's a heat pump system. I can do radiant in the rooms that are most important and do my heat pumps in the other rooms. Why am I picking that? Because I can adjust how I move the air. I can blow that cold air down, or across the ceiling, I should say, and I can blow that heat down to where the people are. All right, so with my equipment, they have their ability to change the airflow. And zoning, more comfort. All right, guys, remember, we sell comfort. This is another option. Why not combine the two? Okay? Teach your customer, make sure they know how to make a good decision by educating them, just like I just did right now. If you weren't sure of those answers, if you really couldn't answer those questions on the spot in front of a customer, you need to do your due diligence and understand this stuff and be able and practice on how to explain this stuff to your customers in simple terms. You cannot use industry terms when you do this. Educate them about the challenges of upgrading their system, like it says there. Assure them that you care, because you're going to keep repeating what their needs are. Everybody wants to be heard. So if I told you I'm not comfortable in this room and why, you need to reinforce that what you're doing is going to take care of those issues. That makes me comfortable that you've heard me, you understand, and you're going to take care of me. We're all human here. We all want to be heard. We all want to be heard. Think about when you're trying to buy a major purchase, that person you're talking to is not hearing you, not understanding you. You get frustrated, you're not going to buy from them. Right, boss? Right? Same thing with you, right?
Yeah.
Absolutely. All right. So here we go. So we're going to teach our customer. Make sure you teach them, be able to explain everything in simple language, right? Make sure you're addressing Mrs. Smith especially. I love when we're on a job and we're talking to the end users and I am talking to Mrs. Smith. She's going to have a major impact on the decision making. And I really don't care how much her husband controls everything. He controls the checkbook. Mrs. Smith is going to have a big influence in that, okay? And I'll give you an example. I've had contractors come to my home to, bid on some jobs I need to do because these are jobs I can't do. And if these guys are talking to me, I will direct them, say, well, I need you to make sure my wife understands. I do that on purpose because I want to make sure that they're really listening. And when I hear a guy call her honey or dear, they're done. She just turned off. They're done. Even if you offer to do it for free, they're done. So don't ever do that. Address Mrs. Smith respectfully, educate her, and make sure she's comfortable about that decision. I can't stress that enough. All right. All right. By doing all of this, God, it seems like an awful lot of work, right? But if you're practicing this and doing it naturally, it's very conversational. It's not as hard as you think. When you do this, now you start to unlevel the playing field. And what do I mean by that? That means that if I've gone there, if I was the first guy to call and I've gone there and I've done all this with Mr. and Mrs. Smith, and somebody else is going to come in and get another price, and maybe you even encourage them, hey, get another price from somebody, okay? And that person comes in and does nothing like that. Just comes in and says, oh yeah, it's a 4-ton house, no problem. I've been doing this 30 years. Here's your price. I think you're going to stand out as the guy who listened, who cared, and educated them as to what their options are. That other guy, he had a good price, but he really didn't seem to be, he seemed to be really anxious to get in, get out, and get paid. I don't think he's looking in my best interest. All right. If you don't believe me, you've got to give this a try. Because if we don't unlevel the playing field, what does it become, gents? Price war. None of us can afford that. It becomes a race to the bottom. And maybe that guy starting out really doesn't have a lot of expenses, or he doesn't know what his expenses are, and he'll bomb the price all day long. All right. That's not going to help you. And you know what? Let him get those jobs, because eventually he'll sell himself out of business. Okay. That's what we got to do. All right. And we want to be able to offer options. I can't stress that enough. Not just what's in the box, options. We commingle systems nowadays. It's common. It's common to have hydronics maybe in certain rooms and air in the rest of the house. It's very common to do that. We have the ability with, I'm going to use Fujitsu again, with some new equipment. They just brought on a multi-position air handler where I can put a hydronic coil in that system. So I get the best of both worlds. I can heat, I can cool, I get the inverter outside, I'm selling efficiency, and I can deliver the comfort I need in those special rooms that are going to be a challenge. Okay? We're good at that stuff. So I afterwards, I want you to lean on us. We'd be happy to help you look at these different options that you have to offer. All right? And the best contractors that I know out there that always have work, are always, I'm booked. They always educate their customer and they enjoy doing it. And they'll even say, here's my card, here are my proposals. If I don't get the job, that's fine. Here's my card. Call me if you need it repaired. Because they know if they don't get the job based on what the customer wanted, somebody bombed the price, that guy's probably not going to come back if there's a problem. And some of these guys have actually made another part of their business, the service side, of going back and fixing other guys' problems. And guess what? At that point, they're getting paid because they're the guy that could fix the problem. All right? Educate. All right? That'll always lead to better sales. If you agree with me, that's great. If you don't agree with me, that's fine. Again, open mind, you got nothing to lose. Give it a try. All right? Judge not. Now, this is really interesting. At times, I'm guilty of this myself. Judge not. If I'm dealing with an older person, I may think that, hey, they can't afford it or they're not going to understand this technology. And that's what this article is about. This woman here, she wanted to upgrade her system. She wanted to have a more efficient system. 2 contractors told her that, nah, you won't be able to handle this. One of them said, you'll never see the benefits. You'll basically die before you see the benefits. All right. Insane as that sounds. So the gentleman who wrote this article, this guy, Jeff Scher, said, you know, once he was talking to her and found out what she wanted, and she asked him, is it okay? He said, of course it is. And here's where he did the smartest thing. Not only will I give you what you want, I'll make sure you understand it. I'll educate you. I'll make sure you understand it and that you're comfortable with your decision. And as it said, he ended up upselling the job, getting more out of the job than she actually even thought was possible. She's happy. Service agreement, since he's going to put in this high efficiency system for her, offered her a service agreement, and that's a whole nother ball of wax to talk about. But these sophisticated systems that we're talking about today all need to be maintained. So a service agreement, if you're not doing that, you got to start. You're leaving money on the table. Why have somebody else service the job? Service agreement is what you want, because now phone number, it's a customer, they're calling. We're back. I'm sorry. We lost audio there, so I don't know what you missed. But I'll quick back up. I'll get back up there. Not only did he sell what she wanted, plus he got the service agreement. She's happy. She's comfortable. And he got 6 referrals. 6 referrals. All right. That's the best job we can get. We do a good job, we get a referral, because now it's not a cold call sale anymore. These people you don't have to really introduce yourself and let them know what you do. Marjorie here told. All right. So what happens if you show up on a job like this? Are we okay? Is everything working well?
Yeah.
All right. We seem to have a little bit of a gremlin today. We'll figure it out. So here you get a call, the boiler's not working. All right. That's a job you show up to. What can we do? We can either fix it, we can fix it and improve it, or maybe we're going to have to replace it. What options do you have? Okay. All right. If you're not, jobs can get pretty expensive. All right. So what can we do here? Okay. All right. One of the things we want to do is give the customers something to do. I want to show them why their system is failing them, what caused the problem, and then what's the best course of action here in taking care of their problem. So get them involved. I'm going to educate them. If I was going to figure out what they need in that particular room, I may hand them a tape measure and start getting some dimensions of the room. Why are we doing that? Because we need to figure out how many BTUs they need for that particular room. All right, we can't guess. So we want to show them why the system failed. I was on a job this week where there's a problem on the job, and the customer is very patient. And he basically said, after we're huddling around it after a while, he's like, guys, what's going on? Somebody tell me. So I said, sir, here's what's going on. I made sure he understood. I didn't use any industry terms. Showed him why the piping had to be changed, and what the error code on the boiler actually meant. And he, okay, I understand. I get it. All right. So once we fix piping, I may still have this electrical issue that I have to take care of, and that's correct. All right. So everybody's calm, everybody understands, and he knows other issues are causing a problem with our system. Got to educate them, right? Show them what the cause of the problem is. Remember, guys, if we're going to give home comfort, I'm going to make them comfortable by heating or cooling. If I walk into this one area and there's air coming out from the windows, I can't overcome that. They have to fix that. So we have to let them know this is one of the causes of your discomfort. So give them something to do, right? Have them take measurements with you. If you're going to show them, hey, look, yesterday we showed the gentleman that there was no heat transfer. There was no delta T happening off of his boiler. And that's why it would just constantly run all day long. with these endless calls for heat. Yeah, 2-degree delta T. We're not moving the heat out of the boiler into the system. Okay, so now he realizes what has to be changed. The installing contractor now realizes what has to be changed, and we can get that problem solved. Okay, this is how you unlevel the playing field. Okay, so if you're going to do a boiler change out, all right, the first two guys came to the job and quoted based on the BTUs of the boiler. So they came there. What did they do? Licked their finger, got the dust off the rating plate. Oh, it's 100,000 input. It's an 82,000 output. Okay, Mr. Smith, I can do this for you. I can knock it out in a half a day. It's going to cost you X. Two guys did that. All right. But now you come in and you're saying, all right, Mr. Smith, I understand you need to replace this boiler. You've asked those questions. You've qualified them. You know what they're looking for. And you're going to do a heat loss. So I really want to know what your expressions are in that regard. What are you thinking about? We're going to do a heat loss? I'm just replacing a boiler? Well, yeah. And there's software available today. This isn't hours of time. And there's software, I believe, RightSoft has a program or an app. You can download it on your phone, punch this information in as you're doing it. It's going to do the calculations for you. But why do I want to do a heat loss? Because there's an excellent chance of what's there is currently oversized. I'm in northern New Jersey. That's where I live. I'm watching my daughter trying to buy a house. I walk into these houses that were built in the 50s, and there's a boiler the size, that a family of 4 can live in. It's oversized, okay? And if the house has been rehabbed and the boiler's still oversized, it's costing them a fortune to run and heat their house. So if it's oversized, there's a good chance that the radiation is oversized. The baseboard is oversized. If I do the heat loss and I know exactly what they need, I can offer them options. So quick example, it was time to change the boiler in my home. And I did the heat loss 4 times because I really couldn't believe the numbers. So the current boiler I had at the time was 160,000 BTU input, 130,000 BTU net output. It's costing me a lot of money. I got a $500 bill to really heat 2,000 square feet. That was too much. That was my pain point. Can't continue with this. So I did the heat loss 4 times because I couldn't believe the numbers I was getting. And then I measured my available baseboard. I measured all the fins, the amount of fin tubing that I had, and did my calculations if I was feeding it with 580 BTUs a foot, because it's high temp, and figured out what that output was. So I had 130 BTU output boiler. I had 101,540 available BTUs in my radiation, and my heat loss, gentlemen, was 54,000 BTUs. So if you came in and said, hey, Mr. DePalma, I'll just replace it with what you got, you weren't helping me. The third guy comes in, hey, Mr. DePalma, I'm going to do a heat loss. We're going to figure out exactly what you need. And then he would have come back and said, look, your best option is a condensing boiler. You've got more baseboard than you need. We can run that boiler in the condensing mode. Based on the coldest day of the year where you live, you will save money. You're not going to guarantee them how much they're going to save, but they're going to save money because their operating costs will go down. If you didn't do the heat loss, you would have no idea what that option is. Right? So if that's something you're not comfortable doing, investigate getting some of that software that's available, practice with it, or line yourself up with a wholesaler or a rep who can help you. All right? Hey, Mr. Smith, I want to give you, Mr. DePalma, I want to give you more options. I'll get you a price by tomorrow, because you've educated to me as to why you're doing what you're doing, okay? So let's think about this. We do the heat loss, right? If we don't, we're just guessing. You want to be different. You want to be smart. So what do you think that first option is going to cost? Okay, best option. I'm going to put a condensing boiler in your house. Now, that might mean you have to do some changes with the venting or just punch right outside the wall. All right, these are the things you're going to have to look at. You're going to offer the best system. We're going to make that boiler condense based on our design. And if you're not sure how a condensing boiler condenses, you ought to take our advanced 4-week hydronic class starting on March 9th. We will make sure you understand that. We're going to give a delta T circulator on there. We're going to give a circulator that's going to change its output based on system demand. So the boiler is going to change. We're going to give them the best system possible. What do you guys think that would cost? please type in your answer. And guaranteed you will be much higher than the other two guys. But that's okay. That's okay.
13, 15 grand, 12 grand.
That's what I think too. Anywhere from 10, 12, 13, 15 grand. All right. So let's make just the numbers simple. Let's say it's going to be 12 grand. All right. Everybody keep 12 grand in your mind. All right. So now you give me, or you give Mr. and Mrs. Smith that option, 12 grand. Oh my God, the price is too high. You got to be kidding me. All right. They're grabbing their chest. It's too high. Well, you do offer financing. And if you don't, make sure you have that available. So be prepared to say, well, yes, we offer financing. So if you look at it this way, it'll cost you X a month. If you want to finance the whole thing, if you want to pay half of it, then it will cost you X a month. Be prepared with those answers. It takes the sting out of things. Okay. You go buy a car with my wife before she goes in, before we go in, we have an idea what we want to pay. We know what our financing is going to be. We got good credit. We know what it's going to be. We know how much we're going to put down. So we know where our payment's going to be. I don't need to have this guy tell me what the payments are. I just want to get the best number for the car. We go in prepared. You should be prepared. But if they're still saying, well, that's way too much, what do? Well, what's your next option? I'm not going to cut my price. I'm going to change my equipment. So if I take away the condensing boiler and I put in cast iron instead, but outdoor reset, that ability for the system to modulate itself based on demand, based on outdoor temperature, is something that they're interested in. We could still do that with cast iron. We can add outdoor reset to this stuff. I could still give a variable speed circulator that'll maintain the delta that I want. All right. So what I did there was just change the equipment. I took something out and I put something in that cost less. What do you think this job would cost? Give us a number. Nothing yet. They're thinking. Good. Think.
First one, we got 9.
All right. So if we went in opening up at, like, say 12, changing out the boiler may bring it down to 10, maybe 9. That's a big deal. So what did we do there? I didn't cut my price on the first option. You're not allowed to do that. You can't afford to do that. But we changed the product. I'm still hitting the boxes of what they wanted. They wanted the ability to have outdoor reset. They wanted the ability to have a modulating system. I could still do that. They're still going to get savings because remember, you are sizing the boiler correctly. Right then and there, they're going to get a savings in how the system operates. And then if I'm going to monitor the runtime, they're still getting a better system. So I'm still keeping my profit margin so far. I just changed equipment. All right, so it's still too much. Price is too high. Or Mr. and Mrs. Smith read that article I told you about, and it's like, hey, it's time to negotiate anything. You got to do better for me, right? Johnny, you got to do better for me. All right, so what's my third option? Still plain Jane cast iron, but no extras. What do you want me to take away? I'll take away the outdoor, plain stuff, but it's still sized right. So you're still going to have a price advantage over somebody else coming in that's just going to replace what's there. You will still have a price advantage. What do you think this will cost? Remember, we started at 12, now we're down to 10. What do you think this would cost? They knew I was coming with this. Good.
7,500. First one we get.
All right, we got one guy said 7,500. All right, that seems reasonable to me. All right. So now what do we do at this point? I've given them 3 options. I've established my pricing for each option. What do you do? And this is going to be the hard thing for a lot of you. All right. I'm going to show you because everybody in the room is doing this. Zip it. The guy who talks first is going to lose. Don't say anything. Answer questions if they say, well, what happens if I go to number 2? What's this going to mean? So when it came time to change the boiler in my house, I told you my customer was my wife. Okay. I wanted to go condensing, but I know what our bills are at the time. I had a daughter getting married. And I still had one in college. All right. I was kind of bleeding money a little bit. Money was going out pretty quick. So we both wanted the best, but at that time I couldn't put that kind of money toward it because I had other bigger expenses. But we didn't go with the cheapest. We went with the better option. We went in the middle. And in my calculations, instead of saving up to like 30%, which is what I probably would have done if I went condensing, I ended up saving, after we did the math, after a couple of months, 20%. Not bad. Not bad on my fuel bills. Okay? And everybody's happy. So did that make sense to you? I hope it did. I couldn't have done this unless I knew exactly what was required for the job. I did the heat loss. Best sales tool ever. So if we turn it into maybe a cooling system, I got to do a heat gain. You can't just block load a house. Maybe you could give a block load to give them a bid number, but then after that, you really want to do your due diligence. All right, so you size the equipment right, and you give them the best options possible. Okay. All right. Any feedback on that there, Rick? Anybody pushing back?
We just got a good question here from Raymond. You know, are you throwing these numbers out on the spot, or are you emailing a quote and getting that call?
I personally would not be throwing it out on the spot unless I've got software right then and there, and I've encouraged the customer to help me, do that kind of calculation, and I'm going to punch those numbers in. I understand when there are some companies, the larger the companies get, they employ salespeople, and those salespeople, they're really taught, don't leave that house unless you've got a PO. That's kind of not my method. If I'm going to offer them options, I want them to know I'm going to do some homework, so I'll get you something the next day. Okay. Now, maybe somebody came in right afterwards and just said, oh, I could do it for this price and you're done. And they went with it. Okay. Happens. But I think 9 times out of 10, that customer is going to, at least on a purchase of that magnitude, all right, is going to at least want to know or get another price. And if you're telling them, I'm going to come back with options for you, Mrs. Smith is going to want to hear those options. If you don't believe me, go shopping. Well, I don't know. Everybody shops online now. But when we get back to normal and we can actually walk through stores, go shopping with your girlfriend and go shopping with your wife. Watch how they shop, right? They'll go through clothes. They look, they touch. They're looking at everything. Drives us nuts because as guys, we probably go to a store knowing exactly what we're looking for, right? And I asked my wife, I asked my daughters, why do you guys do what you're doing? I want to see all the options. I want to see what's available. There may be something there I didn't know about, and it catches my eye. I don't want to miss it. So if you tell Mrs. Smith you're going to give them options, she's going to want to know what they are before we make that decision. That's my opinion. If you're a sales guy and you're being told that you can't leave the job without securing a PO, maybe you talk to the boss and you at least try it once and see what happens. If he sees that you are able to upsell and sell a better system by just waiting, one more day, or maybe later that afternoon coming back with a price, if you got some people in your office that can do all that work for you while you're out prospecting for more jobs, that might be a big deal.
Got a good question.
Yes, sir.
Before we move on, how much do you allow for these appointments to sell, measure, figure out what all is needed? Good point.
Well, that's a good one, and that depends on you. If I'm thinking down to the single man, right? The single man, he's doing this every day. He's doing what he's got to do. So if he made an appointment to be there at Mr. and Mrs. Smith's house at 6 o'clock, I want to make sure I'm educating him and making sure I'm at least going to give myself an hour. It's a long day. I understand, but we're trying to build our business. We're trying to do that. And the better you get at it, maybe the quicker you'll be able to get at it. But I would give it an hour. When a contractor pulls me with them on a job, we're generally there a minimum of no less than an hour. Especially if, like, say it's a new construction and it's up, and now they came back and said, hey, to the builder, we want to do a radiant, or we want to do this. And the contractor says, can you come with me? I want you to look at this. That means he's already seen an issue that we may have trouble overcoming. We walk into a room that's got an all glass, 2 walls, no heat above. And we know there's going to be supplemental heat. So we want to go, we want to check it out. We can't rush and give them a price. We got to do the math. We got to figure it out. Okay. So it's really going to depend on you, but guys, nothing good All good things come to those who wait. That's what I was looking for. All right. So if I've educated them and told them, we're going to look at this, we're going to give you options, we got to put the time in. When you're running your own business, it never ends. All right. I ran my own business for 6 years, not in this industry, but selling is selling, and it's a long day, and it's a long weekend. It never ends. It's like growing. It's like raising a child. Okay, so you do have to put that time in. Anybody else?
I was just asking about 2 hours too long. Really, it just depends on.
Yeah, I don't want to wear out the people I'm with. Get to the point. Make sure you've practiced and you can get to your point quickly. All right, don't camp out there and be there for the night. They're going to want you out. All right. So once we've done all this, you're going to let them decide how to spend their money. Let them decide. If you go in with the mindset of like, I wouldn't pay for this in my house, you're going to lose profit. You're going to lose your opportunity. Okay. Don't do that. Let them decide. Once you've established your different levels, you let them decide. Okay. So this happens a lot to us all the time. Like I said yesterday, I got 3 big plans sent to me at 5 o'clock. I need the prices right away. I need the prices right away. Well, do you have these jobs or are you bidding? We're bidding. I can give you a bid price that should be within 10% cost of the actual materials when you do the job. So I give you a bid price because I don't want to spend 2 hours of my time working out a really hard quote. And I give it to you, you present it to Mr. and Mrs. Smith, and they say, oh, it's too much, forget it. I call you up within a week. Hey, Bobby, what happened? Did you get that job? Oh, no, it was too much. No. If it's going to be too much, don't walk away. They were interested in this. Be prepared for options. Educate them. We want to put it in the most important rooms, right? Commingle it with baseboard. Commingle it with a, Fujitsu heat pump system. Commingle it with the SpacePack high velocity system. We can do that with Hydronics and Air. Commingle these systems. Let them know it's available. Put it in the most important rooms. We're going to give a budget quote to qualify them anyway, and we'll figure it out from there, right? Make sure you can understand and explain to them how the system works, right? Don't give them a system and then to get the job, try to now take things out of it. I got guys who come to me and say, Jim, take the zoning out. Take all those actuators you put on there. Take them out, take the zoning out. Just make this whole area one zone. Gentlemen, that's a disaster. That's going to be a system that is not going to make them comfortable. They've spent a lot of money for it, and you're not going to get good press for that. We're not going to do that. I won't do it. Right? I just won't do it. Okay, go buy it from somebody else. I won't do it. All right, so put the radiant in the most important rooms. All right, so if you look at this floor plan, and they wanted radiant for the whole floor plan, but now it's too much. What are the most important rooms? Type in what you think are the most important rooms.
That's a good question while we're waiting. Do you recommend offering several brands if you need to give the options you need to?
Oh, that pierces my heart. If you're working with me and I'm offering you my time and talent and my services to help you with these, I would expect you guys to be buying our products. All right. I mean, a radiant system from Uponor versus a radiant system from Viega. Do you think there's really a difference in cost of materials? No, there's not. I think I'd want to work with the guy who can stand behind what he helped me with, help me troubleshoot it if there's a problem. That's what I want to work with. Work with the people who are helping you grow your business. All right.
So we had 4 right off the bat, multiple rooms each. They all agreed on the kitchen.
Okay.
And the bathroom for the most part.
Kitchen and the bathroom.
And a living room.
Okay. Well, there's a couple of ways to look at this. And one gentleman who taught me this years ago, John Barba, who's the head of training at Taco, he goes, the people who paid a mortgage are the ones that are going to make the decision. That master suite and the master bathroom, it's probably one of the topics I'm going to want to talk to them about. I want to make you comfortable there, especially in the master bath. These guys have heard me say this. When that customer's wet and naked, I want them comfortable. Okay? So I would concentrate there. And I'd also concentrate on where the family's going to spend their awake time. That kitchen and living room are where they're going to congregate most of the time. The 2 other bedrooms, that other single bathroom, We could heat them any way we want. We could heat them with air side, or we can heat them with baseboard or low temperature panel rads. So we can still give them a super efficient system. This is where you talk to the customer. The whole house was too much. Let's put it where we can, where it's the most important. How do you overcome this obstacle? Because this happens a lot. My friend has a radiant system that doesn't work. So you're proposing radiant to fix a problem, and they're not happy. They're not even going to entertain it because their best friend told them what they have doesn't work. Don't go with it. I spent $20,000 and I'm not happy. She'll never put it in her house. But that's probably your best option to maybe fix a problem that they have. That floor is cold. Remember that scenario I gave you about the master bedroom? That floor is cold. Well, if it's not going to be primary heat, maybe we make it just a floor warming. We take that chill out of the floor, and maybe the current system they have can keep them comfortable. Let's explain it to them and explain to them that you're going to do the math and you're going to show them their work. If you're working with us, we're going to help you with that math or do it for you and show you exactly how the system's going to operate at the design conditions. We don't guess. There's no such thing as a WAG here. That's a wild ass guess. We don't do that. And you're not going to do that, right? So if you're going to overcome this, you're going to have to be able to explain it and explain it well. What if they want radiant, they have a forced air house? It's going to need a boiler, right? If you're going to do it hydronically, they're going to need a boiler. Are there other options out there? Yeah, there's electric mat, right? But we're going to do a budget quote first. We're going to see, what their tolerance is. Here, it's going to cost you X. All right, let's go forward then. Then we do a complete design, and then we kind of figure out what's going to be our heat source. They're going to have a water heater in the house. If they've got a good sized tank type water heater, if it's a decent sized house, that's a product from Taco called an X pump block. It's got a heat exchanger on it, controls 2 pumps. It separates potable from the closed loop heating side. And now I can take care of that problem area. It can move 90,000 BTUs. I can take care of that problem area with them, give them either a floor warming or a radiant system. I didn't add a boiler. Or if I need to, I can always come up with an electric water heater. Remember, we're using low temperature. I don't have to vent it. All right, I could just set it up as a boiler, right? Because now it's a closed loop system. And maybe that's going to be my floor warming item or primary heat. We did that for one of the guys who works here in his family room of his home. He's forced air everywhere else in the house, but the family room used to be a garage, and the previous owners converted it. Came in and said, Jim, the thermostat says we're comfortable, but the floor's cold. What can I do? This is what we did. He's a happy camper. So let's wrap all this up, because boy, I've been yapping for a good solid hour and a half. You got to be tired of me by now. All right, we need to find out what our customers want. Always ask and find out what their wants and needs are. You concentrate on that, you're going to have more options to upsell, okay? Always understand that you sell comfort. You must believe that you sell comfort, all right? You're just not a mechanic. You're just not a plumber, all right? You are a comfort expert. You've got to believe that. That's the way I go to work every day. I'm going to supply comfort for you, Mr. and Mrs. Smith. I don't care what it costs. I'm going to fix your problem. You'd be surprised the jobs we get because of that, all right? Have options. You're never going to have one price. You're always going to have 3 options, good, better, best. Start it tomorrow. Give it a shot. You got nothing to lose, okay? Well, we'll help you, all right? Heat losses, heat gains, they're your best sales tool. If you know exactly what they need, you have an advantage over the other guys who are just coming in and telling you with their 30 years of experience, they know what they need. Really? So very interesting, okay? All right? Get your customers involved. You're going to educate them. Show them why there's a problem on the job, or show them why, like, hey, over here, you're probably going to need some supplemental heat for this room because you've got a wall of glass, all right? We want to make sure you're comfortable, okay? What else? Never prejudge the customer, okay? You may show up and doesn't look like any type of spectacular house, but hey, they got a Lexus in the driveway. Anybody can lease anything, but never prejudge them. You'd be surprised, okay? Call your customers back. If you've gotten that lead, if we generated a lead to you, call them back. You guys agreed early on, calling back within that same day, within a couple of hours, some of you even said, but call back. Don't wait days or a week and then call back. All right, you're now already behind the 8 ball with the customer. Okay, ask questions. There used to be a TV show on when I was a kid called Columbo. He never stopped asking questions. He was a detective. I want you to be a Columbo out there. Keep asking questions, find out exactly what's happening and what their wants and needs are. Address your presentation toward those wants and needs. Okay? And gentlemen, you got to practice this. You have to practice. Practice selling your wife. Practice selling your mom. Practice selling other members in your family. You got a neighbor you're friends with? Practice selling to them. You got to practice, practice, practice. All right? One of my guys who I work with here, doing presentations is new to him. I make him practice very often. All right? We want to make sure that he stops rubbing his belly when he's standing in front of people. So we make him practice, practice, practice. All right? And review what works and what didn't work. That's the only way you're going to get better. All right? Okay. Now, here's 2 reference materials for you. 2 books that I've read that are really good. How to Sell at Margins Higher Than Your Competition. This is by a gentleman, Lawrence Steinmetz. He's passed away. He was a gentleman out of Oklahoma. Very folksy way of explaining it. You can find him on YouTube if you go in there and search for him. And a lot of the stuff I talked about, I got from that book. All right. He talks about what happens if you start cutting your price. You know, he starts talking about why you should raise your price. God, if you're being slammed with jobs and jobs one after another, maybe you're the cheapest guy in there. Maybe you ought to start raising your price. Okay. And another great book is called Extreme Ownership. The 2 authors there, Jocko Willink, Leif Babin, they're 2 former Navy SEALs and very highly decorated Navy SEALs. So it's not a book about, you know, military anything. It's a book about organization. It's a business book is really what it is. It's a book about organization, and it's called Extreme Ownership because you're responsible. You're responsible. So if I sell that sophisticated system to Mr. and Mrs. Smith, I'm responsible to make sure they understand how to work it. If I sell them a Fujitsu mini split system, I'm responsible to make sure they understand how to use the remote. All right? They're not going to read the instructions. We're responsible. So it's a really good book. And if there's people that work for you, this is something that they need to understand. They're representing you when they're out there. They're responsible to be neat, clean, on time, and to understand what they're talking about. All right? It only makes your company look better. All right? So I really appreciate your time. If you hung in there with me all this time, I really appreciate it. And we got another question?
We got a good one.
All right.
So Daniel wants to know, is anybody on here, more of a group question, I guess, is anybody charged for looking at the job?
I do have some guys that will do that. They will do that. They will come out and say, look, I'm going to, and they'll give it just a small fee. And I ask them how it works. And they say at times it's not a problem, and at times it can be a problem. That's kind of up to you. Okay. I'm not sure if I would do that, but again, that's up to you. Your time is valuable. I understand, especially if you're, you got a young family and now I'm going to be out at night trying to make sales. Well, that's how we're going to grow our business. But yeah, maybe, showing up, you're going to charge them $50. I got guys that when they going to do a heat loss for somebody, you're going to charge them a number. So there's value in what you're doing. That's something to think about. If we were here together as a group, you guys could talk about it. Unfortunately, we're virtually, you can't see each other. That would be a great conversation to have as a group. What else you got there, Ricky?
That's it right now.
That's it right now? All right, so if you wanted to view this again, if you can absolutely stand watching me talk at you for an hour and a half, you can go to hvacinsiders.com. It will be uploaded there. Any previous webinars that we have done are uploaded there, so you can watch them. What do we have next Wednesday? What's our class next Wednesday, guys? Space Pack. Well, our next Wednesday webinar will be on Space Pack. That's a high velocity system that offers multiple options for a homeowner. I can heat, cool them, and make domestic hot water. What? Yep, all in one system. All right, so tune in for that. Next Tuesday, we're starting a second series of our advanced 4-week hydronics. We had well over 100 people for the last session that ended, and big demand to do it again and new people. So if you're interested in that, that starts on the 9th of March. And tune in for that one because that's really a cool class. It's not a lecture. We're going to show you a lot of product. We're going to give you problems to solve. You will be involved in that class. Okay. I thank you very much for your time. If you have any questions, you can always reach out to us. I forgot to put my email up there, but it's jdepalma@walesdarby.com. Send me an email. If you ever need help on selling jobs, if it's going to be with the equipment that we represent, let us know. We'd be happy to help you. Thank you very much and have a great rest of the day.